Cheers and welcome my friends, I'm Drak and these are 10 tips for combat and warfare in Hegemony 3 Clash of the Ancients. I wanted to get more people into my favorite game, so I decided to create these tips videos. If you want a more step-by-step gameplay, then I'm gonna link my Let's Play series with Syracuse on expert difficulty in the description, and I'm also gonna link the playlist with all the tips videos that I've created for this game. If you have any questions or tips of your own, then please leave them in the comments, and now let's get to the tips. A quick and easy way to get recruits into a city that currently has none, but needs some, like I have in Lanuvium over here, that is at 0 of 130 recruits, but needs a couple of units, has a couple of units waiting for recruits, is to build a unit in a city of the same faction that has recruits, like I have in Rome. I have an abundance of recruits over there, and I have training grounds that pushes up the recruitment rate even further. So what I did is I built a Spearman unit in Rome and sent it to Lanuvium. And what we're going to do with these guys is we're going to change their home city. So you can see we have currently Spearmen of Rome. We're going to change their home city. So they are now Spearmen of Lanuvium. And then we're going to disband them. And that gives us 30 new recruits in an instant to fill up these units over here. Remember, that only works with unit of the same faction. So Roman cities can only get recruits from other Roman cities and so forth. When you start the game, you often don't have the money to go for all the fancy high-cost units that your faction might offer, and you might just have to make do with Spearmen or with low-level skirmishers. And you level these up and you might think that they might go to waste, all that experience tied up in a Spearman unit that you might not use later down the line because a Spearman unit just can't hold up against a hoplite unit, for example. But there's a silver lining on the horizon. If you take the Retrain ability over here that you can take without fulfilling any preconditions that's available to you from the start of the game, then you can retrain any unit of your faction to any other unit that your faction has to offer. So we're going to retrain the Spearmen down here. We're going to retrain them to hoplites. They're going to keep their two officers, their standard bearer and their weapons master. By clicking on this retrain button over here, we do get the recruits back from the unit as well. So if we go for retrain and we retrain them to hoplites, the cost of the unit that you retrain to is higher if you retrain them to higher level units. So hoplites are way more expensive than peltasts or siloi. So we're going to retrain them. You can see that our recruits jumped from 200 to 230, so we got those 30 recruits back that the Spearmen had. And now the new unit of hoplites is going to fill up. And it kept its officers, and it is going to be way more useful than those beginning Spearmen that we had. And that is a way to keep your starting units relevant to the end of the game, basically. Just give them new equipment, retrain them, and keep them for the course of the game. Keeping your units well fed during a campaign is one of the most important aspects of warfare in Hegemony 3. And one of the ways that you can assure that they are well fed, if you have food at all, is by setting a food priority to camps and bridges that lie on the front line. How do you do that? If you click on this camp, you see this symbol. You go to the trade tab. This is the normal units tab. This is the upgrade tab. This is the trade tab. And if you click on this, then you can set a stockpile target, which basically means that the logistics system will try to amass food there. Normally, the setting is set to minimal, but if you go to moderate, you will always have enough food on that camp to feed your soldiers. And what you can do then is, if I wanted to send these hoplites out for a campaign to fight against the enemy, I just go to load food. Normally they load food automatically when they leave the zone, the supply zone of your territory. But it can happen that they don't take enough when they leave. So just resupply them. And you can see that now they move against the enemy well stocked, well supplied. Keep that in mind. Do that for fortified bridges on the front. And do it for camps that lie on the front lines to supply your units. Having mixed armies that have fast and slow units in them, infantry and cavalry, is definitely a benefit and to be preferred. we have our Roman hoplite unit over here being attacked by a Martian hoplite unit. And normally they would just slug it out, and I think my unit would win because they have more experience. But luckily I have a unit of cavalry just squirreled away over there, and they're gonna end the fight in a matter of seconds with their charge. They're gonna kill a bunch of them, and now that unit is completely encircled, and things should be over very quickly now. Their morale is gonna drop. And yeah, I mean, there's a reason why a combination of infantry and cavalry has been ruling supreme on battlefields for the last thousands of years before the invention of modern warfare. Cavalry also has the benefit of being able to charge after enemies, trying to either capture them or execute them, whatever you desire. Hoplite units can be too slow to actually charge after enemies. If you do want to capture some fleeing enemies in a pinch, but you don't really have a cavalry unit available, or if you, for example, need this cavalry unit to desperately charge into that formation, but you still want to capture these guys, there's a way to do it. And that just entails detaching your general and sending the general to capture them. Generals are military units. Just make sure that they don't really have to fight. All they have to do is capture. That way we can double our fighting power. We can use our equites to charge, and we can use our general to capture those fleeing enemies. And that also works with slower units like hoplites that don't really have the speed to hunt down fleeing enemies. If they have a general and you detach that general, then you will also be able to get those slaves. One of the best features of Hegemony 3 is the way your units gain experience and level up. You can see a very high level unit over here, signified by all the golden segments around its unit icon. If you have a look at it, you can see that it has 4 officers over here: a standard bearer, a field tactician, a medic, and a weapons master. Each of these buff this unit in different aspects. And the way they gain experience is just by vanquishing enemy units. And you can go so far as to actually create generals. You can promote them through the ranks. So this is a level 4 weapons master at the moment. But if I invest my experience, then I can make him a centurion general for 4,000 experience points. And that creates a new detachable general. We already have a general attached to this unit that boosts unit morale by 100. But if I were to invest 4,000 of my 4,900 experience, I can make a general out of this. He will leave this unit. Now we have Geminius Cicero, who gives plus 50% melee damage. And I can attach them, for example, to this Astarte unit. Now this Astarte unit has seen its melee attack considerably buffed. And that's a really nice feature, because you can have your units collect more and more experience, and you can make them stronger and stronger so that your favorite units become absolute beasts on the battlefield. Now, one thing that you can also do if you want generals, if you want more generals, officers are in 3 cost categories. The hunter and the quartermaster cost 300 and also have a lower cost to upgrade. Then you have a bunch of officers that cost 500 experience initially, and then also have the mid-tier cost in upgrade costs. And then you have the high-tier cost upgrade guys, like the standard bearer, the weapons master, and the marksman. So if you want more generals, a good idea is to take a mid-tier officer and push them through the ranks. We already have a medic over here, which is my preferred mid-tier general to upgrade. And you don't have to upgrade these in a balanced way. So I could just go for the level 2 medic. And then I could even go for the level 3 medic. And then I would only need a little bit more experience to actually get a general out of this that increases our defense. So the level 4 medic, where is it? Engineer medic will cost me 2,000. And then we have the medic general, where is it? over here, 2,500. So for 4,500 experience more, I could gain another detachable general that I could put to use in any of my other units. So if you want more generals, more detachable generals, then that is a good way. Just promote one instead of building a well-rounded unit and push them up as much as possible. A good way to get the units faster towards battle is to change their formation. You can see that I have a lot of Etruscan units coming in, playing as Rome. Not a lot of units in the area. So what I'm trying to do is to pull units into the area as fast as possible. I'm pulling some Hastati from over here. I'm pulling a hoplite unit from over there, riders from over there, and also a Hastati unit from Rome. Now, what you can do is we can change their stance. Currently, these guys are marching in a battle line, and that brings down their speed. They can't quite march as fast because they have to keep up the battle line in case they get attacked. But if I change their stance and allow them to go to the skirmish mode, or range support will work as well, then they can march a lot faster. So I'm just going to change that on the fly. And I do have to keep in mind to change it back inside the battle if I don't want them to use that mode. Battle line does have a couple of advantages. It does buff the unit morale and all that kind of good stuff. But the speed bonus is not to be underestimated. Just remember to change it back when your units have arrived on the battlefield. Not all units can do this. Some units are set to only use a specific amount of formations. For example, the heavy hoplites can only use battle lines or the phalanx formation. But for those units that can use that, it is definitely a good way to get that little bit of extra speed out of them. If you're in a pinch and desperate for recruits but you don't have any, there's a way to immediately conscript some recruits. Go to your city. Currently we have 0 of 130 recruits. Now go to your trade tab and click this. This allows you to immediately conscript 25 recruits at the cost of 40 rebellion level. Currently the rebellion level of the city is 0, and we'll be able to do this 2 times because you can do this until rebellion level reaches 60 or above. And you can see that now we have 50 recruits again. It is going to cost you some city growth over here, but if you really need it, this will allow you to fight for a little bit longer. Winter is the ideal time to lead raids against your enemies. You can't really go on long campaigns because your troops will consume a lot of food if they're fighting. But what you can do is you can try to take over and capture enemy food buildings and other stuff. During winter their supplies will run out, and if they find themselves in the spring without any food buildings, your enemy will just starve to death, which is a very good way of winning a war without even fighting. Many units in Hegemony 3 rely on their formation for part of their strength. That's why forts present you with the possibility to gain a defensive advantage. If the enemy attacks you through a fort, they're gonna lose the formation on all the units that need a formation to fight. For example, these hoplites over here, as soon as they pass into the river, you're gonna see formation broken, which weakens them quite a bit. And that is why forts present a chance for you to take out enemies of superior force. If you can force them to cross a fort while staying in formation yourselves. Hooray! You made it to the end of the video. If you found it helpful in any form or fashion, then please consider leaving a like so that it can show up in search results and help even more people. If you're interested in Let's Play footage, Let's Play content, or in more tips and tricks videos, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I do daily Let's Plays, and I try to accompany them with tips and tricks videos like this one. Also, if you want to learn more about Hegemony 3, then have a look at one of the other videos that I did for this, and I hope I see you in one of my series. If you have any questions or tips of your own, then please leave them in the comments, and I hope I see you around. Thanks, and bye-bye.